Hello, everyone, and welcome to the sixth videos on this series on how to build the ultimate modern SharePoint Online intranet. Now that we have created our intranet, connected it in a hub site, learned how to display dynamic content, this video will focus on how we can brand our intranet. But before we get started on branding, I'm still with my good friend Sebastien here. We took a quick break for lunch because on the last video, there was something that did not take effect yet. So we decided to take a lunch break, eat some burgers, since that's all we've been working on the whole morning. But what was not working was, well, not working, not yet showing us the love is the good term of saying it. Is
Exactly.
is the audience thing, and now it works. Seb, do you want to show it? It actually works, and then we'll talk about the why.
Exactly. So the we're back here. We have our site with that news that we
A
audience
news that is
earlier.
newer than the other news. Yeah.
Exactly, and it never showed up. And anyway, we wanted to make sure that this news disappeared for Vlad. So let me do a hard refresh here, and we will actually see that this news does not appear anymore for Vlad. So now we can like clap and be quite happy about it. One of the reason why was when you're changing the membership of a group, it might take some time. It's actually all described in the documentation in the support articles on office.com, but we did not check it, and we made the change a couple of minutes before going live, and that is why. So we just changed it to another group that has been there for a long time that Vlad was not a member of, and now it works nicely. So you can actually expect these changes to happen quite rapidly, up to maybe 50 minutes, top an hour, but it should actually not be as long as it was earlier. So happy that it works now. We can continue and still consider this demo a success.
It worked. It took a while, but it worked. We learn things, right? And that's what
Exactly.
happens when you have a tenant we've been using for years. Where my examples is I add Seb, Seb's example is I add Vlad, and at the end of the day, we're all in every single group there. So if you want
Exactly.
to show it to your boss, create a brand new group. That's what I can tell you right now.
Exactly.
And Seb, you're actually on the wrong slide. You gotta go back a little bit here.
It was me.
It was you. You're the one
No,
sharing.
I want the right one.
Oh, then I'm the one that messed up.
You are. There's
Okay, well, I will fix this up in post editing, and I'll make some funny X's that Vlad failed. But uh, we are now. Oh, are they both bolded now, or you're editing it live?
I'm doing some live editing. That's the
You're
beauty
live.
of that's awesome, right? Like even with
Yeah,
a little bit of, if I remember correctly, there was a little bit of green earlier around the branding because we want to add colors.
of course. So, for those of you that this is the first episode from this series that you watch, we're halfway through this building the ultimate modern SharePoint intranet series. We've done quite a few things before, so if you want to get started from scratch, make sure you watch the rest of the videos in the playlist. There is a link in the video description below. But if branding your SharePoint Online intranet is all you want to learn about, you're at the right spot. And Seb, I believe this is another no slides videos, only demos, right?
Absolutely, because you know me well. I love to show stuff. Not always a great fan of like tons and tons of slides. So now we can dive into our branding components that we can use to make it shine, make it pop, make it beautiful, making like impress your boss with your new intranet. So let's dive into it. So now let's go back. We can actually close this browser, right? Not that I don't like to be Vlad, but I don't need to be Vlad. Today, let me just do a hard refresh here. Um, there's a lot of areas that we can use branding for. And we're going to start with the, I would say the low tech Then afterwards, the customization and configuration. And then afterwards, we're going to end up with, I believe, the top way of making your site shine, which is to build a great theme that spans across your hub. So let's start with a couple of different areas that we can do that. First, let's go here and let's use change the look. A lot of the changes we're going to do here are in that menu, in the change the look menu. A couple of things, and we're going to skip the theme because we're going to actually end with this one. First thing, the header. The header of a site is this area here, the one that defines the current site, not the hub, but really this one. So there's a couple of layouts that are available, and by default, it's usually under the compact one. But let's look at other options. You have the minimal, which is a tiny bar right there. It takes a little bit less space and gives more focus to the content. Then the compact, which was there before, the standard, which is a little bit bigger, and finally the extended version of it. So now it takes a whole area in there. The beauty here is that sometimes you can actually use some theme colors here. So you can change some of these themes color that we have. So let's say I want it to be a little bit more in the lighter, but not necessarily gray, kind of a really light purple. I can do that. And all the top row will use this, or gray like this, or I want to go white. You can choose white. In my case, I really like bold colors, so I prefer that. There's also a way here to bring images to really take the entire area that is in here. I don't really have a great image for that for now, so I'm going to leave it, but you can change it to a ton of different really, really cool colors right there and images. Now there's also display capabilities. One of the things that a lot of people have been asking is, it's my intranet. I don't want to have the tech landing all over the place. So you know what? I'm going to remove it. And now you can complement it with a really nice background image. And now you have a really compelling story to tell around the home of your intranet, for example. Actually, let's make it, I'm going to go back to compact here because I actually prefer this like this. So you don't have the title, but you have the rest. And you can also change the site logo and the site thumbnail. Right now it's this image, and I'm going to keep it like this, but you can change it or just leave it blank if you don't want any of that. You see now it's totally blank. Let me go back and re-upload the exact same file here. Quite easy, simple, but it really gives, I think, a lot of I really like the visual aspect of this. So I'm going to hit save. I'm going to continue to some of the other capabilities around changing the look. Another thing we do a lot is navigating, right? We created a bunch of different navigation areas. In this case, we have two navigations, one which is only one level, one that has a second level. In the navigation, we can decide if you want to have it as a mega menu or as a cascading menu. So let's see what's the difference. If I go to departments, I have a nice big box of all the content that I have access to. Where if I go to cascading, it's going to change it a little bit. It's not going to change it a little bit. Give me a second. I clicked too fast. Let me do cascading here. I'm going to hit save. And now you see, it's more like, I would say, traditional navigation. Sometimes when you have a limited amount of links, that could work. But when you have lots and lots of links, you want to showcase your users, especially when you're utilizing audiencing, as it can become a lot of links based on the membership of the groups you're a part of. I believe that the mega menu is the best one. And it's actually now there by default.
Yeah, I think it really depends on how many levels you want to have. I find that cascading works well where you only have one level, but as soon as you want to have sublinks, the cascading doesn't work well anymore. And I mean, Mega Menu is made for sublinks and things like that. But
Exactly. Think about it though. Like, don't go, even if you want to have something that has a lot of structure, having multiple levels of links, it's not always the right approach, right? So I would encourage you to keep a simple navigation design, because if not, your users are going to get lost anyways. So let's leave it to the mega menu, but there's also the option to hide or not the site navigation. In this case, especially on an intranet and at the root of an intranet, do you really need to have a navigation for this specific site? I think the hub navigation is sufficient in that case. So let me save that. And now I think we did a pretty good job at simplifying our navigation. There's an area that we haven't seen a lot today, right? Never really went to the bottom of that page, but there's something at the end of that page, and it's this: a nice, rich footer, which is always a capability required by lots of customers and partners, and I have been requesting this, and I think it's great that now that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to edit the page. I wanted to go into the properties here. So I'm going to go and change the look, the footer. You can go in and being either a simple or an extended version of it. So you can have more room and even have more links. And there you can add your own logo. You can add a display name right there. In that case, let's call it Tech Lending. You can also change the color of the footer. In this case, because of the nature of this image that we're using, really believe that this darker color is better, but you could do whatever you want here and you can save it. And you can also disable it, right? You can just say, hey, I don't want to have any footer in there. So these are options that are available as part of the structure of every single page. Every page will have the same capabilities. If I click, for instance, on that new 401k packets, well, the same colors, the same branding appears, same thing at the bottom. We have the same thing. But something that I wanted to show, which is a great way to showcase or put emphasis on some areas of your design, is by editing your page and changing section colors. So for example, here, you see that I have a little bit of a light purple here. When you edit this section, you also have the availability of this background shading. So I can go with this one, or maybe in white, or you know what? No, I want to use the purple. What is great is every web part you're using is aware of the color of the background, meaning that look at how the title reacts when you go from the very dark to the very light. It moves from white to black. And the reason why is we want to make sure that it is readable, that is accessible. And we're going to come back to that later on with the theme, but it is a great way to put emphasis on content. So let's keep it here, and let's make sure that we have it here. Now, on pages. Pages sometimes can be very long. A good example is this page, I believe. This page is a long page. You might not always want, for the home page of an intranet, maybe, but sometimes for content, you might not want to have it. So let's pretend that the recommended viewing area, we don't necessarily want it to be open all the time, but more on demand. Now there is the ability to make a section collapsible. And now I'm going to call it, I don't know, let's call it recommended content.
For you, or yeah.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Recommended for you. And now you can say, okay, I want to see either divider lines between section on or off. You decide. You want to have it, the expand can be on the right or on the left. Let's put it on the right. And by default, I don't want it to be expanded. I want it to be collapsed. But now I'm editing it, so it's going to always be open. When I'm going to hit republish, what's going to happen? Look at this. Now the recommended for you area is available at the click of a button, where before it was always available for you. So there's really ways where you can use that space to create an amazing experience for your users to discover the content, especially for non-mandatory content. So I think these are some of the key elements to make your site branded that looks good. Here how like everything really looks good. I really believe that our intranet, Vlad, really looks amazing. But if you remember correctly, Vlad, both of us are from an amazing city in North America and Canada called Montreal, right? And and here in Montreal, there's a fever. Uh, a fever that starts in September and usually ends as late as possible in June, but sometimes it ends earlier.
Yeah,
And
maybe
that's
not the word that I would have used, fever, those days, but I
no,
get what you mean.
I no. It's on purpose. That fever is the hockey fever. We're big hockey fans here in Montreal, and we have one amazing hockey team called the Montreal Canadiens. So let's say that we want to show some love to the Montreal Canadiens inside our intranet. Well, I'd love to be able to create a theme that looks like the Montreal Canadiens, that might have the same colors than the Montreal Canadiens. And all of that is done through the theme designer of a technology called Fluent UI. You don't really need to care about the name of that technology, but that's a technology that drives all the theming of Microsoft 365 experiences, from Teams to the Admin Center to SharePoint to a bunch of different products. That's how it's built. So when I go to the Fluent UI site, which is this one here, which is mainly a developer site, there's something that I think you need to know. And that's how you generate a theme, because that's going to be super useful to create your custom themes to bring the identity, the visual identity of your organization to SharePoint. You're going to go on the Fluent UI site. I'm going to share all these links. You go to Styles, and in the Styles, you're going to find the Theme Designer, aka.ms/theme designer. And that's going to bring you to a site. And this site is awesome because not only it allows you to create your theme. So let's say I want to go here, and I'm not a designer, and Vlad, you can confirm that. I'm not somebody that
I
makes,
can.
I'm not somebody who can make things pretty, but I can configure things quite okay, and I'm gonna get a little bit of a help from this site. So let's say I want to change the primary color to be somewhere in the reds. Usually it's kind of something like this. Primary color would be this one. The text color will be in the blue. Montreal Canadiens are red, white, and blue. And there you go. Here we have like almost our Montreal Canadiens color. You can bring your own corporate colors in there. You can bring your own things in here. And when you're ready, you have the ability to click on that beautiful button right here. Export theme. And this is where you will be able to go into the PowerShell tab right here and give this code to your admin. You remember that bit earlier where we need to be good friends with the admin? Well, you can give that PowerShell code, very simple code here, and give it to your PowerShell admin. What they're going to do is they will be able to create a new theme that will be made available for all of your SharePoint deployment. And then once they tell you, okay, it's done, it's ready, you can go back to your site and finally use the first option that exists in that gear menu here, change the look, which is theme. And in this case, you're going to see that I have a current selection, which is that purple one, where we have Contoso Electronics, Contoso Marketing, Contoso Sales, Technologies. You also have a bunch of out-of-the-box one right there. For example, I can choose the green here. I can also customize it a little bit, change some of the color. Finally, I want it like this and the accent color to be like this. But if you want to make sure you have the right colors for your organization, you can create one. And I created one earlier which is called Montreal Canadiens. And now when I select it, you see that now my site has a red heading, has blue text in here, even has some of that. Give me a second. I did not apply it. That's a rookie mistake, Sebastian. I'm going to hit save. Now you see here, this area is all red. Everything just turned red. How amazing is that? How powerful it is to really bring your visual identity to SharePoint. So if I hit refresh, everything still looks the same. You see even the color of the buttons turned red. So it's a full theme with lots of what we call color slots. So you can even tweak it. If you want to go a little bit deeper than just these three colors, you can do that also automatically based on the exported colors that you have here. And finally, we told you earlier, what is one, and Vlad, please remember me. What's one of the superpower of a hub?
Is that the branding transfers to all of the sites that are associated with that hub.
Exactly. So now if I go to departments,
But it usually takes a lot of time. I'll say you're really brave of trying to show this live because usually it's cached, but let's see.
I believe.
You believe, okay.
I believe, if not, definitely in a couple of minutes, that's going to work. But if I click on human resources and I hit control refresh.
Let's see here. Sorry.
There we go.
Wrong one. There we go.
How amazing is that, right?
It works. Usually takes, because of the caching and everything, I would say don't freak out if it takes 15, 20 minutes. And that's why I was like, Seb is really going to try and show this live. Usually every time I tried. I was going to say, if it doesn't work, the Senators are going to win tonight.
No, don't say that. So we have now branded our site. And I really believe that this really brings it at another level. And I'm quite happy about the result. And now you can even use some of the capabilities in SharePoint Online to launch your site and be ready for consumption from all your colleagues. So now your site is kind of ready, but is it enterprise ready? There's still other things that I believe that are important, and those are the ones that we're going to cover in the next few modules.
Awesome. Well, Seb, this was awesome. And since your demo worked, it's still NHL preseason, so it doesn't really matter. But I still think the Habs are going to win tonight now because your demo worked.
Awesome.
That's what I'd like to think. But yeah, this is the branding options. And just to spend 1 minute on the topic, since we can talk for an hour on it. But Seb, what do I do if I want to make my SharePoint Online look exactly like my public website?
That's a good question. That's a question that organizations are always asking, right? I really believe that keeping the shape of SharePoint, respecting the areas where stuff is going in SharePoint is the best thing. So basically, it's not necessarily what you want to do. An intranet is not meant like your external website. It is a collaborative environment where people can create content. You can make it look similar. Bring your theme, bring your images, bring all of that inside the intranet. But honestly, keeping it to a minimal customization or even none, if possible, and use what SharePoint has to offer will be the best way forward to make sure that you're still being supported and that your users also have the best experience possible. Think about how the accessibility mindset of that product and everything everywhere in the product is accessible. If you're trying to change stuff around, definitely it's not going to be helpful for a lot of your users. So think about this. I think respecting the product in this case is important. And in the end, I assure you that you're going to fall in love with what SharePoint has to offer without going all out in doing crazy branding projects.
I don't think I could have said it better. And this is again one of the talks that we almost have to do for every intranet project since forever, since I started doing SharePoint. So
Exactly.
it was worth mentioning. But this is it for this video on how to brand your SharePoint Online Intranet. Well, like Seb said, we've done the basics. We have content, it's branded, you can get content from a bit all over. But now, from now on, it's really time to take it to that next level and have things such as content approval on certain sites before things go out for communications. Even talk about multilingual. If you're a big enterprise, you need to respect all of the different employees that you have. So that's what we're going to focus on in the next videos, starting with content approval. But for now, thank you very much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed. You'll have all of the links that we have used, such as the Fluent UI Team Designer, in the description of the video. This way you can just click and go have fun there. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you click on like, subscribe to the channel so you get notified when the new videos are coming out. But for now, thank you very much and see you soon.